The following program, offered by Fox 19, includes lawyers licensed in Kentucky. For those lawyers to maintain compliance with the Kentucky Bar Association requirements, the phrase, "This is an advertisement," must appear on the screen. Moore Law is underwritten in the public interest by the Moore Law Firm, a legal professional association. This is Moore Law on Fox 19.
Good morning. You know, running into legal trouble can be scary on a lot of levels, including worrying about how you're going to pay for a lawyer. But the good news is there are many lawyers, including personal injury attorneys, that charge nothing unless they win your case. If you want to talk about legal issues like domestic relations, wills, housing, and public benefits, we can talk about organizations that offer free legal aid to low-income families and individuals. Give us a call at 513-421-4691. Don Moore, good morning.
Good morning, Deb. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How was your week?
Well, actually, there was a little somber note, and we're going to talk about that just for a moment. We both lost a good friend.
We did.
J.B. Chase, unfortunately, passed away, and he was I went to church with him for years. I know you had professional liaisons, more or less.
Yes, he was a career television professional, and spent many years working with him. One of the, he always had your back. One of the finest people I've ever known.
Well, and from my standpoint, a big encourager. In fact, when we started the show, in addition to congratulating us both, I know he also called us both individually and gave us some tips.
He always had some tips to give. The one I appreciated the most was when he told me I hadn't brushed my hair well enough. He's always watching. So.
Well, our very best to Helen and the family.
He will be missed.
Yes, he will.
Yes, he will.
But a person is not going to be missed today is Jenny Conlon Whitman. Welcome, Jenny.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Jenny has practiced for over 30 years. She is the manager of the Volunteer Lawyers Project, which is what she's here to talk about today to a great extent. Her father was a lawyer. She's a lawyer. Her husband's a lawyer. So she's got the lawyer thing going.
Well, so tell us a little bit about the Volunteer Lawyers Project. What is that?
Volunteer Lawyers Project is an agency that works with legal aid, and what we do is we recruit and train and support private attorneys in the workplace who represent legal aid clients pro bono. And we operate in 7 counties in Southwest Ohio, and we have about 800 plus lawyers who are in our database who will help people with various types of things, from housing to family law to education cases, immigration. We do a wide variety of things through private lawyers. These are people, the clients are clients who would have otherwise been represented by legal aid. So we sort of support the legal aid and their clients and really expand the number of cases that we can take to help people.
Okay, and Don, you mentioned that this is something that your firm participates in.
Well, yeah, that's true. All the lawyers in my firm, all 3 of us, we do the volunteer lawyer thing. We try and take a couple of cases apiece per year. Dan's done it for the entire time he's been practicing. I've done it for most of the time that I've been practicing, and it's a way to help.
Okay, and Jenny, you mentioned before the show that I asked you, what's the biggest thing people should know, and you said there's a very common mistake, unfortunately, that people make.
A lot of people call legal aid, and the volunteer lawyers too, at the last minute. They either didn't open their mail, or they sort of maybe thought nobody was there to help them, and then a neighbor said, well, try legal aid. But I'd say the very most important thing, if you get a legal summons or you're in legal trouble, you should call legal aid, and you should call legal aid right away, because the longer you wait, the less able we are to help you. If you've been evicted, there's a very short window for you to challenge that eviction. And if you call us on the morning of the hearing, there's really probably nothing we can do. The same with foreclosure. If you wait till the sheriff is selling your house, there's probably nothing we can do. But if you call us way back when the foreclosure complaint is first filed and you meet some of our screening criteria, then maybe we can help you with that problem. It's like people I don't know whether they're afraid of the system, they don't really trust it, but Legal Aid is a wonderful organization. And when I talk about legal aid, it's all of our clients for the volunteer lawyers comes through legal aid. So the cases that legal aid takes are the same kind of cases that we help with. It's just in some cases you'll have a legal aid lawyer, in some cases you'll have a volunteer lawyer helping you. So.
Okay. Let's go to the phones now. First up we have Steve in Cincinnati. Good morning, Steve.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask, we were going through a bankruptcy, through foreclosure and then bankruptcy. When the bankruptcy was going through, the bank, our attorney told us the bank should stop the foreclosure process, and they ended up not stopping. They continued the process while the bankruptcy was going. They ended up sending the sheriff out and forcing us out of the home while this whole bankruptcy process was going on, and we just wondered if that was right and normal, or should they have stopped, and is there anything we can do about it?
You want me to answer that?
Go right ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that ordinarily you have to notify the bank by filing a motion to stay once you file that bankruptcy. So I don't know what happened in your situation, but during the pendency of the bankruptcy, if you file a motion to stay the foreclosure, the court should stay it. Now the bank can file a motion for relief from the stay. And I think there's a myriad of circumstances under which that might be granted, but initially, if you filed the right paperwork with the foreclosure case, I think it probably should have been stayed.
Yeah, I agree completely. In fact, sometimes the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, and that's where the client can really help their lawyer out and help their own cause. If your lawyer says this is supposed to stay everything, and your lawyer is right, just as Jenny said a second ago, and then the sheriff comes out, that's time to call the lawyer immediately and say, what can we do about this? Give them a chance to respond, and sooner is better than later, because if you don't do anything, then they can go down the wrong path and you're the one that wind up suffering. So Steve, I'm sorry to hear about your bad experience.
All right, let's take a break right now. We'll be back talking about what to do if you think you can't afford a lawyer. Give us a call, 513-421-4691. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to More Law on Fox 19, your legal questions live, with local broadcaster and award-winning reporter Deb Haas and Cincinnati personal injury attorney Don Moore, recognized by Ohio Super Lawyers. More answers, more help, more law on Fox 19.
Time now for one of our favorite parts of the show, where we go to your More Law Connection with Dan Moore, answering viewer emails. Dan?
Great, thanks, Deb. Good morning, everybody. Today our first question is from Derek. He wants to know, my brother borrowed my car without asking and had a wreck. He has insurance on our parents' cars, but not on mine. Whose insurance has to pay? This is a very common scenario, and the answer is the insurance typically is going to follow the car. That's what the insurance folks like to say. That's what lawyers like to say. And what that means is whatever insurance company provides coverage for that car, meaning Derek's insurance company, that insurance company is going to be primarily responsible for paying. Sometimes they have an exception in the policy that says if the person driving doesn't have permission to drive that car, in other words, if your brother didn't have permission to drive your car, Derek, then your insurance company is not going to be liable. And then your brother's insurance through your parents would kick in. So the answer is, number one, your insurance is primarily responsible. Number two, your parents' insurance would be secondarily responsible. Deb?
All right, thanks a lot, Dan. We are back with our guest, Ginny Whitman. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll go to the callers again. First up, we have Carol in Hamilton. Carol, I understand you had a medical procedure that you did not have a good result from.
Right.
Go ahead and tell me a little bit more. Thanks.
Yeah, I had several facial procedures done, and my right ear is now back further and down, so when I put on glasses, I have to sort of fit the glasses on the side of my head because they are crooked when I put them on both ears.
Right.
And then one eye droops and has a scar in the corner. There's several things that he done wrong, but when I called for assistance from an attorney, none of them would take the case. They all do like when you're in a car accident, that kind of stuff, but nobody wanted to do anything for me. And now I can't afford an attorney.
Okay, so that really, Carol, that's a good question, and it's a relatively common scenario. And there's two things at work here. Number one, medical malpractice cases, which is what you're talking about, are very difficult. No, you got a 1-year time limit. Don't let that go by. Two, not a lot of lawyers do medical malpractice, but those who do it on a percentage fee basis. So as far as affording a lawyer, your first phone call is free. number one. Number two, your initial office visit is free. We have a little graphic up here that may help you. Number three, the percentage of recovery, basically on a medical malpractice is it's generally going to be 40%. And if they don't collect anything, you don't have to pay a fee. So basically, can you afford to pursue a medical malpractice or a personal injury case? The answer is almost always yes. So then the issue becomes finding a lawyer who handles that kind of case and who's willing to take your case in particular. And if they turn you down because they say they're too busy or et cetera, what they're basically saying is they don't think that your case is worth pursuing because it just takes too long and costs too much. Either way, it shouldn't cost you anything. It's just a matter of finding somebody who's willing to take your particular case.
Don, what would you say the percentages of calls you get and cases you take?
On medical malpractice, we do medical malpractice all the time. We're one of not all that many lawyers in town who do them, and we turn down way more than 95%, just because a medical malpractice case generally costs somewhere around $135,000 for it's money we put out of our pocket to pursue, and that's just a lot of money, and they're very, very difficult. The lawyers who defend them are excellent. There's lots of defenses for doctors, and it's a tough area. That's why most lawyers don't do it.
Okay. All right, let's get back to Don in Covedale. Good morning, Don.
Good morning. I rent a house, and I just got notice that my house is being foreclosed on. Do I have any rights as a tenant?
That's a good question.
That's a great question.
Yes, you do. There's actually a statute. I believe it's a federal, it may be state, I'm not sure. But you do have rights as a tenant. And I can't tell you exactly what they are, but this is something that Legal Aid is very involved in, trying to help protect the rights of tenants in foreclosed property. So I would encourage you to call Legal Aid Society and see if you can get some help there.
One of the things I think they say is that the lease or the leasehold runs with the land. So whoever takes that property, whether they take it by foreclosure or whatever, is still going to be subject to the lease or rental agreement.
I think that's right, but there are some additional rights beyond that that are now set forth in the statute. So,
excellent, excellent.
Yes.
Good luck.
Okay. And let's go back to Dan Moore with another email question. Dan?
All right, our second question is from George. He asks, are businesses really not responsible for things stolen out of your car on their property? The answer is no, they're not. Generally speaking, a business or a property owner is not responsible for criminal acts of third parties. They're not responsible for predicting when somebody's going to come and break into your car, do property damage, or do other nefarious things to your property. However, there is a very small exception to this, that if the business owner or the property owner knows that this is an established place where criminal activity occurs, then they may have some responsibility to warn you, to take some proper precautions like light the place, put security cameras up, or perhaps hire a security guard. Those things, if they don't do them and they know that this is a high criminal activity area, then they could be held responsible for the harm that results. But generally speaking, they're just not. So if you have a question, go to fox19.com, click on the More Law button, and fill out the Send Us Your Questions form. We will do our best to answer your question. I will see you all next week. Deb, back to you.
Thanks a lot, Dan. We are going to take a break right now. Give us a call. We're talking about what to do if you can't afford a lawyer. 513-421-4691.